Good evening. Welcome back to the Muddy Creek podcast. I am your host, Miss B, your co host, Don, Mr. D, D-E-E. Get it, get it. Anyway, I want you to know tonight's podcast is really special. If you have noticed, Don has actually taken a shower and he's groomed himself and he is wearing a button up shirt. That's how special this episode is tonight. Tonight, I have a very good friend. He was scheduled to come on the show several months ago, but he got some news that was not really good news, and he had to cancel the show. Over the past couple of months, we've become very good friends. I have worried about him, I have laughed with him, I have cried with him, and he has a very special place in my heart. And tonight, I would like to focus on his life, his research, and his journey to what he has come to believe and how it has shaped his research and how he believes in life. He's also working on an up and coming book that will be available soon. Out of all the guests I've had, every one of them's been special, but none has I've never anticipated and been excited as I am tonight because I know with everything that's going on in his life, it was a lot for him to take the time out to be with us tonight. And we're going to go through his journey. And if you have any questions, just kind of hold them until, kind of midway through the show and we'll do some Q&A. But I think his story is very, very special. The title of the show is The Forgotten, and it goes back to him as a child serving our country in the Vietnam War, coming out, being a Class A researcher. And not only that, he's a good friend. Kenneth, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Hey, Ken. How you doing?
Well, and thanks, Don. I'm looking forward to doing this show with you guys. And hopefully it'll be an experience for those that are watching and listening.
Kenneth, you have a Facebook group, the Montana Idaho Bigfoot Research Group. How long have you been doing that group?
I started the group 4 years ago. I'd been on other Facebook groups, and I noticed how people that posted things or made comments were ridiculed and trolled by everybody. And I realized there had to be a group where we could have members that were safe, that were respected. And my group, we are very strict on the respect thing. And we're now breaking 4,000 members. We have members from all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and we do, in the spring, our active Bigfoot research in the field. We have one area we go into, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But because of my health, I am limited now to what I can do when I'm in the field, which is driving me nuts.
Kenneth, you've been dealing with a lot of challenges lately, but through all of that, you have started working on a project. Would you like to go into that before we go into your story?
Yes, I had been asked by some of my members and family members, why don't I write a book about my quest for Bigfoot, because it has been a quest. And so I finally broke down. I ordered a program called Dragon so I can talk and it types. It's a neat program. And the hardest was actually starting the book. I think I rewrote the first chapter 3 or 4 times till it sounded right. Tomorrow I start chapter 14. I do have a publisher waiting for it. I'll be talking to him at the end of the month on the 31st to start sending the manuscript to him. But there's such an interest out there about what I have experienced and learned in the Bigfoot field, researching Bigfoot. My encounters with Bigfoot started when I was around 13 years old. They've always been around, and then I have to take out the time I lived in Hawaii, the military, and when I was down in Texas. Other than that, I've been in the mountains of western Montana all my life. I'm very comfortable in these mountains. whether it be a nice deluxe camp in a Class A motorhome or a bedroll under a spruce tree by a stream. It don't make no difference. I love it. I came back from Hawaii. I loved Hawaii. I lived on the island of Kauai, the Garden Island, for 14 years. And most of my friends there were Hawaiians. I was accepted by the island, and in the book, under paranormal, I write about that acceptance of the island, how it accepted me. And also when I was told it was time for me to leave. It was after a real nasty divorce. I lived on the beach through that whole divorce. What a bad place to live for a divorce on the beach. And that I've always had to be positive. And I think, made me who I am, being a positive outlook on life. You have in your life choices to make. I call them the crossroads, the forks in the road. And it's you as an individual has to choose the fork, whether it's good or bad. You can't blame nobody else. I do not blame the Army or serving in Vietnam for Agent Orange exposure. And that's what destroyed my heart. And it's pretty bad when they bring in a specialist to talk to you and you're told you are not to live to see 80 years old. Your heart's going to quit. You are facing mortality. Do you want to feel bad about it? Feel sorry? No. You get out there and do stuff. And I think that's part of why I started writing this book. This book is going to be the legacy to my group and my family. And that. So it's been a challenge, but I love it. I love challenges. But let's get in the early years and might give them a better idea why it can be so positive. If you would like to.
Absolutely.
Ask questions.
Well, I wanted to walk back to your early childhood, because your early childhood formed a lot of the way you think, and especially your research. And then I kind of wanted to walk through, the years that you served and just kind of flow into your research. And then I want to really hit hard on your research and how you come to feel and have opinions and thoughts the way that you do that are so positive, especially in the research community.
Yeah. Let's go back to early childhood. We were taken from our mother when we were, I think I was 5 years old, and put into foster care. I have two brothers, Jody and Rick. And we were farmed out like cattle. People would come and get us to see how it would work. Unfortunately, one place there was sexual abuse from teenage girls. You withdrew into yourself. We were finally adopted by a couple out of Billings, Montana. It took years to trust them. I turned to isolation as a way to deal with it. Depression, yes. That's when I started really looking at the fishing, disappearing. We moved to Missoula in 1963. I was 11 years old. When I turned 13, I was gone. I headed into the mountains. That was my healing. That's where I started to deal with my past. And even then, I tried to be positive. I didn't let anybody, I was picked on as a bully. Bullies would pick on me. I was a little bit overweight till the day I stood up to them and took care of matters. But then they weren't aware I was taking boxing lessons to become a Golden Gloves fighter. So it was pretty easy to take care of the problem.
Did you get them into booger box?
Well, let's put it this way. The day I quit school, I stood up in the classroom, looked at the history teacher. I called her the B word and started walking up. She said I couldn't walk out. I looked at her and said, I'm 18. I can do what the hell I want. 3 days later, I was in the United States Army. I went into the military, went to cook school. I took basic at Fort Lewis, Washington. Then my advanced training was a cook, because I love to cook. And I just lost my train of thought. But
Went to the military and
yeah, I got assigned Fort Jackson, South Carolina, which was a basic training battalion. But what got me is when I talked to the recruiter, he said, "You'll never go to Vietnam because they're pulling troops up." My dad was there. Yeah, I come down to wars for Vietnam in September of 71.
that was
And
the year I was born.
yeah, you're young. And then I flew out of Fort Lewis, Washington, the 20th of December. Merry Christmas, you high school dropout. We looked at it. And we went up through Anchorage, Dakota, Japan. We flew into Nandang 3 days before Christmas.
Wow.
Bob Hope was there the next day. We didn't get to see him because we were processing in country. Christmas Eve, I flew down to Tui Wa, South Vietnam. And the next morning, I was real homesick. This was the first holiday away from my family. There's something about Santa Claus and the Huey gunship that kind of takes away from Santa and the reindeer. And I got my orders to my base, which was Nha Trang, South Vietnam. Now, Nha Trang sits right on the South China Sea. Beautiful, beautiful base. I arrived there on New Year's Eve and was told that nothing was going to happen until the 2nd of January of 72. When I walked in the orderly room, the sergeant major looked at me and said, "We're not slated for a cook. You're going to learn how to drive deuce and half in convoys. You will qualify with both the 50 caliber and the M60 machine gun. You will also be required periodically to go as a door gunner on a Huey helicopter."
Wow.
Back then, I had heard the phrase rockets in Vietnam. And that's what the Vietnamese call them. They are aggressive. American troops that encountered them reported them being very aggressive. And that's in the book. I made sure that was all put in the book. After I got off the military, I went into an isolation mode. When I was at Fort Sill, I was AWOL for 90 days, classified as a deserter, which I could have been court-martialed for. I got married, went through a bad marriage, caught her in bed with another guy when I come out of the field, threw him down the stairs, got arrested for abuse, domestic abuse, never got charged or convicted. Well, I went AWOL. I come home. I ended up going to work for the Forest Service, well as AWOL with the military. That's how tell you how they check with each other. And I ended up at Fort Lewis, Washington. I received an Article 15. In beginning of 74, I received orders for Germany. So I flew out, of course. When I got to Frankfurt, I was delayed of getting an assignment. They were deciding if I was going to stay in Germany, if I'd be able to stay in Germany. They decided I could, so I ended up with an army unit in Erlangen, Germany, the M60-ton tanks, which was a lot of fun. I had lost my rank, and I knew I would not get promoted to anything higher than a Spec 4 because of the lost time, the 90 days AWOL. Boy, was I in for a surprise. I got notified. All my efficiency ratings had caught up with me. I was going in front of the E5 board. April 24th, the battalion colonel pinned E5 on me. And this is why I'm saying this is how you can overcome adversity in your life when there's negativity, having a positive attitude. And it changed how I perceived things. I became one of the head chefs in Missoula, Montana. Well, after I got out of the military, I had saved money, got my trapping supplies while in the service. I spent 2 years trapping, fishing, and hunting western Montana and northern Idaho.
Nice.
Away from people. Even then, things would happen that I know I can relate to Bigfoot now. And like I said, I was one of the top chefs in Missoula. I applied for a job at the Holiday Inn here back in the 70s, and the general manager said it's time for you to come out from behind the house. I went on to become a food and beverage director with Holiday Inns. Ended up in Big Spring, Texas, in a mess down there in the restaurant, and I really enjoyed it. And then when I come home, I drop my youngest daughter, and my world come apart. What I saw was not my daughter. And I ended up 4 years in treatment, group therapy, single therapy program in Sheridan, Wyoming for PTSD. But there again, I accepted what had happened to me. I can't blame the Army or anybody but myself. And when you reach a stage in your life where all of a sudden you are somebody, it means a lot. But when you lose everything, you are spiraling out of control. You will turn to alcohol. You may turn to drugs to cope with it. Fortunately, I never did. The mountains was my addiction. And then I moved to Hawaii. And I went through Hurricane Iniki. I was managing 47 condos. We lived on property. Hurricane Iniki was a category 5 hurricane. It destroyed that island. I got let go from the condos and opened my own business. I subcontracted to a flooring company, and I did flooring, laminate, carpet, vinyl, VCT. God, it was a good life. Rode a big Harley, deep sea fished, shore fished. It was a good life. I enjoyed it. And then I had my first heart attack at 48. I was standing in the yard looking at giant ferns where I was going to put scented orchids on when I had the heart attack. It is, it's a shock because I had gotten back in, and you're going to love this, Don. Us non-vets were sitting in our favorite bar, and the conversation come up about us getting back in the military. I told them I'll do it. Well, a bunch of money went on the table. Monday, I called an Army recruiter. I flew over Tuesday and was sworn into the Army Reserve, the 100th Battalion, the 442. I flew back, collected the money. Yeah. A few weeks later, the Kauai Police Department was looking for a policeman. Well, of course, I'd been drinking. I said, I can pass those tests. Well, they said I couldn't. Well, the money come out. I went and took the test, the physical. I passed it and collected the money. Then they said, we're never going to say you can't do something.
Right.
But when I got into the guards, it was kind of neat. They sent me to school, Combat Lifesaver, which is a medical course, and it's very intense. Then after that, it was Loadmaster School to learn how to load helicopters, airplanes, and that how to weigh and all that. Then from there was hazmat training.
Wow.
Then they had me escorting weapons inter island, which was fun because you're responsible for those weapons when you pick it up. I'd fly civilian, Hawaiian, or Aloha to the island I was supposed to get the weapons on. The problem there is I had loaded weapons, M16 plus a sidearm, and always had the front seat. You all see how the tourists look at you when they walk by you.
Right.
And then a heart attack put me out of all that. And then it was extremely nasty divorce. But even living on the beach with the Hawaiians, I knew I was coming back home. And no matter what I went through at that time, I'd heal in Montana. I've always left Montana and I've always come home. I come back to Montana. And I will die here in Montana. And that, I think, really started me pay more attention to Bigfoot. becoming more aware. It was years after the Patty of the Gimli movie of Patty. I had not seen that. I was experiencing stuff with Bigfoot, rocks being thrown at me, vocalizations, structures, and all that. I have what they call an analytical mind. If something I want to know about, I will study it. I will learn about it. And that's why this book is coming about, is what I've learned through the years. And when I started the group, I know our first trip up into the Swan, it was a weird trip. We had done some in the field. And that one night, something woke the wife up. It was smelling the window where she was sleeping.
Wow.
She heard it walk away. She didn't wake me up. She got up, went out to the dining room in the motorhome. She come back to bed when she realized all the blinds were up. She got back up, I got up, and she told me what had happened. So the next morning I went out where she pointed at the window. I measured to the ground at 9.5 feet, which put something well over 10 foot tall. She heard it walk away. Now I had a trail cam pointed in the camp. I pulled the SIM card. I don't know why, I just did. We had a juvenile at the same time coming to the camp. Yeah, it's a neat video to look at. And you can tell it's really, really nervous. That's what's so neat about this area we go into in the Swan is something always happens while we're there. The vocalizations, tree knocks. We see fresh tree breaks. And I know one of these days we're going to get that clear picture like I did over in St. Mary's of Bigfoot.
Right.
But I insist we try new things. This year, we are putting out their 3 lights on a solar-powered motion detectors. So anything that comes in and breaks those beams, we'll get it on video or photographs. And we're always willing to try new stuff. Now, like we talked about in my heart, I kept having it when I come back from Hawaii. I was having problems. I ended up in the hospital. I was informed I had a quadruple bypass surgery. The mortality for me was 79% chance I would die on the table. Those are bad odds. A friend dropped me off. I sat there prior to the surgery by myself in the hospital. Nobody was with me. The following year, they took the pacemaker off they had put in Hawaii, and they put in a defibrillator. That's when I found out about the Islamic heart disease was being put on the Agent Orange registry. I filed a claim. It didn't take that long. I'd say 4 or 5 months. I got the award letter, 100% permanent total. And from then on, I can now concentrate on Bigfoot. And that's what I do.
And I do have a question going back to when you were overseas. Rusty wants to know, did Ken ever see or experience firsthand the rock apes of Vietnam?
Rusty, that's a good question. It could be possible when we were convoying. Sometimes it seemed like things were thrown at our vehicles if we were parked. I never saw them. It's known the rock apes were aggressive and would throw things, just like Bigfoot does. It will throw things. Like I said, I can't say, but it's possible. There was areas when we stopped for a break was thick jungle on both sides of the road. You're alert because you don't know if somebody wants to start shooting at you. It's an ambush. Rock apes are prevalent to Two-Court, which is the Central Highlands. The We Were Soldiers movie is Idrang Valley. That's on the west end of Two-Court in the Central Highlands, west of Pleiku. which was northwest of Natrang. And yes, we did convoy up to those areas and that. So the rock apes, talking to the Australian soldiers and that, the Korean, South Korean from the White Horse Division, they all talked about the rock apes and how aggressive they were when they were out in the field. I hope that answers your question.
I actually had a. Go ahead, Don.
I was just, Ken, when did you start researching? What year? Seriously researching?
Probably after I come back from Hawaii, and that was in 2005.
Okay.
I started going out back into some of the areas, and it was sad. Some of the areas, like the Gold Creek, they had logged it out. They basically destroyed that. What really caught my attention was 77, when I had gone up into Dvorak, Montana to cut posts and poles for a guy and break some horses. I got to know the area pretty good. In 78, I'd come back to Missoula. I got married. She and I moved back to Missoula. 78, I hiked into a high alpine lake out of Dvorak. The lake is called Crystal Lake. Mm-hmm. It's 7.5 miles into the lake. You actually go up an old mining road. Then you drop down into the lake. When I fished all day, when I come out, I heard something tearing a log apart. Immediately thought about bear. I become cautious because I had a creel full of trout. Well, walked up on that road, wasn't a bear.
Yeah.
It was not a bear.
Was he using a rock or his hands?
His hands. You could see torn wood on him. I have a description of it in the book.
Okay.
And some of the podcasts I've done, I talk about it. Well, I'm looking at a creature well over between 8 and 9 foot tall, all black, hairy, rounded head, not conical, flat nose, protruding eyebrows, protruding chest, extremely muscular.
What do you think he was looking for?
Grubs.
Yeah.
Right. In survival training, you know, if you see rotten wood and those little white big grubs in there, mm-hmm. Collect them. Build a smoky fire and put them over the fire.
Yeah. I've cooked them on
toss them into your mouth. Or if you really want interesting, just swallow one like they are.
Yeah.
No, sir, not as long as there's DoorDash.
Where we set up our base camp, there is no cell service or Wi-Fi service. Hallelujah.
I thought you had a satellite phone. What are you inviting me in, Kenneth?
I will be putting in Starlink into the motorhome. So we will have satellite linkage. Part of it is the sales of this book, a lot of it will be going to upgrading all of our equipment. All of our trail cams will be satellite trail cams, which then we can monitor what's going on with those trail cams through the laptops. I do have 2 laptops with us when we're in the field. But that's when I really start thinking, what am I looking at? It's not a bear. Is that the thing has been causing things through the years I was growing up? And it wasn't long after that I went to Hawaii. Yes, I heard about the Menahunis that built the Menahuni ditch. All that's in the book.
When you look back and when you had your first sighting of one and you look back, what in your past made sense then? The rock throwing,
I'll give you an example. And it'll be in the book too. I'd gone into Alpine Lake out of Missoula, and I decided to spend a couple of nights in there. So I'd gathered a pile of firewood. I had space blankets that I'd put one up, and the heat would be reflected back. So you really didn't cold. Well, I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning and I realized my wood was almost gone. Around 5 o'clock, I woke up. There's another pile of wood laying there. I was the only person in there. Who put that pile of wood there? My trap line, what took that body, that coyote? Yeah, things like that. Something large, bipedal, walking away, dark brown to black in color from you, periodically will look at you. Then you get that skunky, rotten, decaying smell. So it started coming together. I felt it was Bigfoot, but I wouldn't commit to saying it. I wouldn't tell anybody because back then they say you're kind of having mental problems.
Right.
And from that point on, it has been a quest. I want to know what it is. Yes, we have sent in DNA, scat. I send in 2 samples a year apart in the same location. Totally different looking. We did get the results back on one of them.
You gonna let us know how that went?
It went back. It come back as an unknown primate. The other one was unknown.
Wow. Now, how did you collect them? How did that come up?
Laying there on the ground, you use a baggie and put it inside of a Ziploc bag, and then I froze them.
So you were out in the field, and
Yep.
let's go into that part on the time around that you collected that.
I had the first one I was out with my youngest daughter, Kim, and we had just got done setting out trail cams. And walking back to camp, it was laying there. There was bear scat on the road. This wasn't bear scat. It was like if you have a nature call in the woods and you kind of go to number 2, that was kind of long. That's what it was. Same as last year, the guys out in the field coming in, there it was again. Now, the funny thing is, I have both of those things in my freezer.
I kind of know somebody else that did.
And I told my daughters, those aren't Hershey bars, so leave them alone.
Right. Did you happen to notice what he was eating?
Berries, the hair looked like Columbia ground squirrel. There was deer hair and all that. The thing we have in the field, I collected and put together slides of commonly known hair. We have a microscope in the field. Any hair found, I can compare it to what I have. The microscope has a camera on it. I can look at it on the computer, and I can compare the hair samples to known hair samples. If it doesn't match the 13 I have, what is it?
Kenneth, how did it make you feel when it come back to an unknown primate?
I've been saying for years it's an unknown primate that's evolving. So it's proved what I'm saying. Now, Expedition Bigfoot, they finally come back on 2 of the DNA samples they sent in. One was a type of chimpanzee. Another one, this last one, was a form of an orangutan.
But when you have the DNA and you have the samples back from it, people still find that hard to accept.
Yes, they won't accept it. They won't accept it. And that's the problem we have as Bigfoot researchers. People accepting what we're finding. Like when I was in St. Mary's, I caught on a trail cam 2 photographs, which will, at least some of these photographs aren't going to be in what I'm doing. The one, you can see the shoulder, the side of its neck. It is massive. That trail cam's 8 foot off the ground. You can't even see the head. That next one's the best one. It's his finger like that pointing at the trail cam.
Hmm.
Wow.
He's standing there pointing. You can see that arm, the shoulder, how muscular it is. The fingernail, that photo, if you enlarge it, you can see all the cracks in the fingernail and the grooves. People discount that. They say, oh, you Photoshop that. I don't know how to Photoshop. And I
Rusty
agree,
said,
William. But the thing you have to understand, the government already has the bodies. Just like UFOs, they're not going to let Americans know. And there's a reason, part I think is a reason, and others do. Think of the financial impact on a given area that Bigfoot is recognized in. Take the spotted owl in Western Washington. When it was recognized as an endangered bird, what happened to the logging industry? It got shut down. Now, if Bigfoot is recognized in a given area, what's going to happen to the economy? They'll shut it down.
What about a soft acknowledgement of them? Do you think that would be acceptable?
What's that?
A soft acknowledgement from the government. A soft acknowledgement.
I think it would. I think it'd put a lot at ease. It's like, what did they do with the bodies of Bigfoot after the Mount St. Helens eruption? What have they done with the bodies of those that were hit by vehicles? They recover those. They come in and wash that highway to eliminate any traces of those of Bigfoot. It's a very controversial subject, just like UFOs. Look how long it was for the government to finally let loose about UFOs and acknowledge we have them. The government's good at covering up.
I'll be the first to say that. I mean, I worked on a federal task force and couldn't get off of it fast enough. So I'll be the first to say I don't trust the government. So there's that. But assault, I mean, and I don't think they need protection, but I will acknowledge that maybe a soft acknowledgement would be under this administration. If we're going to get it, I think we'll get it under the next 4 years.
Yeah. You can't discount the hundreds of people that have seen Bigfoot. This is all over the world. I get reports of Bigfoot from Wales, Ireland, all this. It's not an isolated incident. When hundreds of people are talking about it and describing the same thing you are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Field research for Bigfoot, eco research for Bigfoot is like putting a puzzle together. It's bits and pieces of information. You're the only one that can form your own opinion. I do not watch any of the Bigfoot shows on TV. Sometimes I hear them in the background, but I won't watch them. I want to form my own opinion. I'm not going to be influenced by TV shows. Rarely do I come on podcasts. There's only 2 other podcasts, and I did an audio one of me talking.
That was excellent. You're let me get this out the way. Selena, Miss Southern Belle herself, is in the house. I honestly think that Bigfoot takes care of Bigfoot that passes away. That's why nobody finds the remains. That's been
that's $1 million question.
And here's one that I think you can relate to, because this is why you're Randall. My brother was 100% disabled from Agent Orange. I lost my brother 4 years ago to Agent Orange. He did 2 or 3 tours in Nam.
The Agent Orange has affected the families too. But as the one question about Bigfoot, that's unknown. Does Bigfoot bury its dead? Does it take it to an area that's inaccessible and put it there? Is Bigfoot cannibalistic? We know it eats meat. Could it be cannibalistic? We don't know. They are so hard to study in the field because they're so elusive. One can be standing there and you won't see it. If you're an avid hunter and know, ever watch deer and elk freeze and just sit there and watch how other hunters walk right by it. They'll look at it and not see it until it moves. It's happened to me.
Stillness is the best
William, they could possibly have a funeral ceremony. I wish we could really study, spend time with a group and learn about this stuff. All we can do is base a theory because we don't find remains.
So you
Think-
mentioned
Go ahead.
the it was actually the Bigfoot podcast that you were on. I was very impressed with that. You just flowed with your observations and your theories. Over the years, you have developed opinions over them, both by, watching their habitat, watching them in their habitat and the experiences. What are your thoughts on them? What conclusions have you come to?
My thoughts on Bigfoot, they're an evolving primate. If you look at human, I'm not talking creation, the Bible. If you look at Lucy, is a form of a primate. She come out of the trees, and I know that's going to be controversial, which is fine. Think of her first steps on the savannah in Africa, how scared it was. Now, if you look at the evolution of humans, which I have, there's many branches. But as humans evolved to where we are today, we learned how to use fire, how to make clothes, how to make weapons, how to start farming instead of be hunter-gatherers, how we built a trade system. If Bigfoot is an evolving primate, it's at pre-stage of development like humans were. Now, they have come across in the Congo large primates that are bipedal, same as in the Amazon River Basin. And they're studying, for years they said there were no primates in North America. Wrong. The fossils they found actually is of a monkey that migrated out of South America roughly 33 million years ago. Yeah, it's in the book. Like I said, I'm very particular about dates and stuff because that tells it all. And you can look it up. Is it Bigfoot of all species of that primate? Makes you wonder.
What's been the most amazing behavior you can contribute to a Bigfoot?
His curiosity. He's curious about you. Gifting. When I dropped those trout, I didn't expect anything and built a little rock stack. When I went back in a couple of days later, what put the fourth rock on top of that stack and the feather underneath that rock? Up in the Swan, why do I get feathers on the steps to the motorhome? What's putting them there?
Let's go into that, please. Or do you want to save that for the book? I know your book's coming out, so I don't want to put everything out there.
I'm not going to because, and the thing about I want people that are listening, a lot of the proceeds from the book goes back to the group to upgrade our equipment. I want people to understand that. I'm not out there to make money, but I want the top equipment for the group. And that's where a lot of people have to understand. Equipment's not cheap. Set a budget for yourself. Start out with lower cost items when you can afford to go to the higher end items.
What's the best piece of equipment that has brought you the most results in your desire to learn more about this creature?
Trail cams and a CD of primate vocalizations. I've gotten a response on the chimpanzee, a female gorilla, and an orangutan. Those are the three that actually got our vocalization back on.
What did you get? A mimic or something different?
Something different. Something totally different. I've heard Bigfoot mimicking owls and coyotes. But as a hunter trapper, you know what the real sound is. And these are different. These are totally different. The night before we left up there in the Swan last year, 3:00 in the morning was one of the prettiest vocalizations you could have ever heard. Unfortunately, like a dummy, I didn't turn on an audio recording device I have that comes on automatically when there's any vocalizations. The other one is get yourself a bionic listening device.
On a gear.
That is critical. We use high density black light flashlights at night. We don't use bright lights. I've tested them on deer and that. There is no eye shine. So you're not going to get eye shine from Bigfoot. They don't even know you're standing there with that flashlight. They'll look right at you and go back to feeding. Yeah, you're standing there.
There is a group that, or a channel that I follow on Facebook, and they go through thermals and infrared and how you view in them when you're using your phone, taking pictures with your phone. They even broke down iPhones versus Androids, and you would be amazed on how you give yourself away, even when you think you are blacked out. Even when you think you are covered in camouflage. If you're touching even a heat blanket, if you're touching it, your heat just goes through it. You just give yourself. It is a absolutely amazing channel to watch.
And then, like last year, some of the members sitting by the fire. I have a handheld thermal unit. He swung it behind him. What's standing by that tree looking at him is not a bear. It's something over 10 foot tall.
Oh, let's go
I
into
have
that.
it. Huh?
Let's go into that. Let's set that up for us.
Why he did it, he doesn't know. He didn't realize he could zoom that unit and get a closer picture. But he took a video of it, and the tree's like here, and it's doing this.
That's why they call them the
Watch
peakers. You made some really good.
Do you think all this technology? Oh, sorry.
No, you go right ahead, sir.
Do you think all this technology helps the research or hurts it?
I think it helps it.
Okay.
Okay. The biggest thing we have to overcome is human scent. Well, I got a solution for that. We are going to be using skunk scent, a spray on all the equipment, and that I guarantee you that will mask human odor. I used it when I was bow hunting.
You're not going to have nobody left in your group. No.
The guy in the ghillie suit out there, hosing down, to do his skunk scent. They're not going to smell them.
Do you think ghillie suits work? What are your experiences with going out in the ghillie suit?
I tried it and I had a squirrel scold me. And that was it. Okay. I think if you're in the right area and your ghillie suit matches the cover, yeah, I think it would work.
So we want to recap for the people that are just joining that you did collect 2 samples.
Yes.
Have tested. One come back to an unknown. The second come back to a unknown primate.
Yes.
Okay, just for the people that are coming in.
And all that information is locked away. The DNA test. So if some black guys in black suits come to my door, I don't know where they're at.
Well, we already know you know how to box, so there's that. When you are dealing with something, and I hate this, to me, woo is something science has not caught up with. But when you're dealing with something people classify as woo, how do you compare that to what your DNA tests come back to the non-primate? Because there's some strange things that happen around them.
Yeah, if you look at the DNA of gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutan, if it's similar but not one of them, it's an unknown species. Is how I look at it. That's the only thing it can be. We don't have gorillas, we don't have chimpanzees or orangutans in Montana. We have a bipedal primate in my book. And I'm a firm conviction on that.
And you know what? You're allowed to have your opinion based
Yep.
on your experiences and your research with no apologies to it, just the same as other people are allowed to. But let's get back to the behaviors, because your interpretation of their behaviors to me is the most interesting part of your research. Can we go into that?
Okay, if we look at the use of tools, or let's look at chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas. They'll use tools to get termites, ants out of their mounds and eat them. They'll use tools to break open coconuts, hard shells. To me, Bigfoot's no different. It will use tools. It builds fish traps, which is a tool to catch fish, especially during the spawning time of the year here, which is in the spring. Most of the fish spawn in the spring. We all know it's spawning, the bears, the Kodiaks, and all that. Where did they go for food? To the rivers. Bigfoot is capable of building fish traps. It's also capable of building a deadfall to kill a deer. It's what you're learning through observation. Yeah, it's an individual's opinion, but we only can base it on what we are experiences ourselves. And all mine, whether it's theory or not, is based on my own personal experience in the field, doing research, and what I've experienced as younger. I don't do anything.
Amber said, have you ever tested what you believe to be a dog man?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever had experiences with it?
No.
Rusty says, I agree with Ken. Must be an unknown bipedal primate.
Yep.
Don?
No,
Yeah.
just recently, Don, they observed chimpanzees hunting deer down, eating deer. Chimpanzees are cannibalistic. They will kill other chimpanzees and eat them.
Yeah.
Just a food for thought.
Yeah,
I
I think they're just part of another branch of our tree.
It could be.
You know, that's all I think. Just from their intelligence, you know, it's incredible.
Something that smart is very elusive. Humans are dumber at times than Bigfoot.
Ain't they the?
Yeah. I mean, we fumble around in the woods, tripping over shit. Bigfoot doesn't. Even experienced in the mountain as I am, I get lost. But there's only been once I've gotten lost. And there again, I think it was Bigfoot that guided me out of there. I cannot explain the wooden arrows on the ground pointed to my vehicle.
But I want to go into that. But by design, they should be the rowdiest and loudest thing in the forest, but they're not.
No.
So just want to just I very rarely make a good point. That's my good point for tonight. It's going to be downhill from here on out for me. But let's go back to you getting lost in the woods. Can we go into that? Because you mentioned the arrows.
I went into a new area hunting, and I picked up some elk tracks. So I took off. I didn't pay attention to the country I was going through. Normally, in a new area, I turn around and look at the woods and everything behind me. So when I come out, I know where I'm at. This time I didn't do that. I always carried raisins and things like that jerky with me when I was hunting. I didn't panic. I sat down trying to figure where the hell I was at because nothing looked familiar. All of a sudden, I had a sense to go in this one direction. So I got up and started in that direction. On the ground, what appeared to be an arrow pointing. About 100 yards was another one. Another 100 yards was another one. They continued till I could see my truck. What put them there? I went back the next day. They were gone.
Yeah. Where do you think they learned that behavior?
I think some of the structures are directional markers. Now, if you look at the Viet Cong on the Idrang Valley and that, when they were attacking the American soldiers at night, they had white wood on the side of the trees to mark the trail, the direction to where the soldiers were at.
Right. I was wondering if they may have learned it from Native American, because Native American did things like that too. You know.
They could have. I feel the young Bigfoot will mimic the mature Bigfoot when it comes to building structures and that. If Bigfoot has been observing the Native Americans, which I do have that, you know what, a chapter on that, he may have learned some of that from them. It's there again, it's a theory, and that's what we have to try to figure out what that theory, if there's a reality to the theory in it or not. That's what, to me, that's what makes Bigfoot or research for anything so fascinating.
Right.
Whether it's in the field or online. It's what you find. And sometimes it's only little pieces here, pieces there. And it's bringing little pieces together.
Right. Do you think they react differently to each person based on the human behavior that they encounter?
Yes. You want me to give you 2 examples?
Sure.
3 years ago, we went in with a guy. He had a negative attitude. Nothing happened. The minute he left, the woods come alive. Bigfoot come around. You could smell it. You could feel you're being watched. Last year, we had a guy with his son and dogs. Bigfoot got upset about that. I've never had anything thrown at my motorhome till that last night. It threw it at the motorhome. I left the next day. I packed down the big gazebo and I left.
That's what I've experienced. If they don't want someone out there, they get vocal. And as soon as they're gone, they quiet right down.
Yep. So I'm real curious how normally I hold the field research Memorial Day week. But the last 2 years, we're up to 11, 14 days. We get 2 days of sunshine. You get real wet just putting out trail cams. So this year, I'm doing it in June. Hopefully, we'll get away from the rain.
Is that the only time you have ever felt threatened?
Yes, the only time.
So you think they're mostly live and let live? Do you think there's a connection to the missing people that go missing every year?
The missing people, we have one main area in Montana, that's the Beartooth Mountains. People come up missing there all the time. Campers, hikers, hunters, fishermen. Nobody knows why. They rarely find a body. Is it Bigfoot? Don't know. There are grizzlies, wolves, black bears, and mountain lions in the Beartooths.
Well, that would go if they're cannibal and they do eat their dead or even kill each other and eat each other. That would go back to why wouldn't people be food? It's just me thinking out loud.
Well, you have to realize the war a lot of the Native American tribes had with Bigfoot was for that reason. They come in and take the women and children, and they generally find the bones. Bigfoot was eating the women and children.
Wow. Bigfoot
is a predator. It is the apex predator out there. It is capable of killing a grizzly bear. There's been reports, and Bigfoot Society had it on, a woman, she's in the Bob Marshall a lot, coming across grizzly bears with their necks broken, their chest caved in. The Fish and Game doesn't know what's doing it. Bigfoot is in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. I know that for a fact. I've seen it in the Bob.
I was listening to a documentary the other night about all of the negative things that comes with prospecting gold back in the days, and a lot of the settlers that they found that were deceased had their rib cage ripped open when they found them.
Yep.
And I just said there's got to be one thing that could rip the rib cage of a man open like that. And that's just my thoughts, though.
Victoria, the question you want to ask was the liver there. What's the highest iron in a human body or an animal body? The liver.
Well, like I said, they were just describing the way the people died and how some of the deaths were mysterious. And, it was on reservation land. And you get a lot of that when, I have people I talk to behind the scenes that live on the res, and it's just a fact. But I don't go, it didn't say that, but I mean, what's going to rip a grown man's rib cage open? And why? To get the innards. I mean,
yeah. Excuse me. That's why when I do have people come with us in the field, number one concern is safety. And they are informed. Bigfoot can get aggressive. If it's capable of breaking an elk's neck or a deer or a moose, what are you to him? Like that coyote, what pulled that body off of that coyote? The head was still in the trap, the conifer. Bears are in hibernation, no mountain lion. I'm the only person there. What broke the ice and took those beaver traps, just bent the beaver traps out of shape and took the beavers.
It's a lot of strength.
With extreme strength. If you look and push over a big tree, have you ever tried to, Don, ever tried to snap a tree? How much strength does it take to snap a tree that big around?
Yeah, or twist it first and then snap. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do it.
Wow.
This is the stuff you really have to look at. Other boy, other unusual things in Montana like paranormal, yes. The silver we figure was a UFO behind the motorhome, yes. Drum beats out of old burial grounds, yes. I have more about that in the book.
Do you ever hear any or feel any pounding in the ground?
No. I've heard elk, moose walking, they're real heavy. But my wife's the one that heard that one walk away. There are times I hear footsteps, but it's generally in a real thick brush and you can't see what it is. Could it be Bigfoot? Possibly.
Right. Greg has them on his property, and not all of his experiences have been good at all. He wants to know, have you ever witnessed a pissed off Sasquatch? If so, please tell. If you haven't, that's fine too.
All right, we hunting a place out of DeBorgia.
Randall, I'm gonna read that. He says he's tried to Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Something took on a moose. You could hear it, the grunting, kind of a scream. It killed that moose. It wasn't a bear. Because when we come up on the carcass, there was no claw marks. That Bigfoot, I feel was a Bigfoot, was mad about something. And could that be part of the reason why people come up missing, get destroyed like that? Possibly. It's hard to explain something you don't see it yourself. And I agree with that. What Misty is saying, if you look at when the big bears are taking the fish, what is the first thing they eat out of those fish? The eggs.
Oh, the eggs.
The sperm sac in the males. It's all high in protein. By the way, those are edible. And they don't taste that bad, a little fishy, straight out of the stomach. But I learned survival food, so to me, it's no big thing. But what Bigfoot eats, we can pretty much eat. You know, there's reports of Bigfoot carrying off roadkill, deer, from the road.
Oh yeah.
With Montana's underrated. They don't rate Montana very high in Bigfoot sightings. I got a little surprise for them. Here pretty soon the map goes out. I have 210 locations in Montana Bigfoot has been seen. These are all verified by the Fish and Game, Forest Service, law enforcement, respectable outfitters in that. As from east to west, more in the western side of Montana, you will see Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's so wide open up there. So vast.
Montana is one of the least populated states. And it's one of the largest.
What's the most challenging thing about doing your research in Montana compared to other states?
If you're not in good physical shape, don't go in the field. Where we go is mountainous, brushy, and that if you're not in shape, you're going to get hurt. They don't want me in the field because of my heart. Well, I'm stubborn. I want to be in the field. And it's hard for me to see a group go out and I have to sit there in that camp. I'd rather be out with them.
I think when you found out things were going to be terminal and you got that news, and I remember the day you called me, I don't like to think about that. But you're going to go out your way with your boots on.
That's right. Like my brother said, I'm an ornery son of a bitch, if you excuse that expression. I'm not going to give it out. Randall, I don't know if they are fallen angels or descendants of Cain. That I can't say. Somewhere in the archaeological records, there may be evidence. Until we can find that, that's open for debate. Yes, Don.
What's that?
Okay.
I missed that.
It looked like you had a question.
Oh, no. No, I don't think they're Nephilim or anything like that. No.
Dealing with them, to me, it's a big adventure. And then maybe one day I'll come face to face again with the Bigfoot. Was I scared? No, I was shocked. I've had bears charge me. They don't scare me. So I go out with a positive attitude about when I'm out there. I kind of will sing to myself. Maybe that's why he'd run away. He didn't like my singing. But I talk to myself. I love the mountains.
What's the most common color up there in sightings?
Black.
Black.
Black is the number one color. We have a real dark brown one in eastern Montana along the Yellowstone. If you look at the map of Montana, pretty much all sightings are around water. Water is the number one source for Bigfoot or any animal, even humans. You need water. Bigfoot does too. But most every area there is water. A river, a stream, lakes, and everything. Even the big lake, Flathead Lake, which is the largest lake west of the Mississippi, Bigfoot has been seen around that lake. Now in the fall, the cherry season, the Flathead cherries, you know damn well Bigfoot's coming in and feeding on them.
That was going to be my next question, actually. What do you think they eat besides meat? What do you think they eat up there?
Cattail, roots, baby fern, mushrooms, watercress, grass, strawberries, strawberry leaves, rose hips, things like that.
They have a better diet than we do, for sure.
Yeah, they do.
Misty says, if we can forage, hunt, fish, survive, etc., as humans out in the wild with us and used to live how we do now, imagine something that is born and bred into, and that's all they know, survival comes natural. And I'd say
Yes,
they
it
were
would.
pretty efficient at it too.
I agree with Misty on that. It's a learning thing for us. When we're in the mountains, we learn how to survive.
I think they're taught. I think they teach their young.
Well, if you look at bears, the cats, they teach their young how to hunt, what food's good, and everything.
Yeah,
Why not
because they.
Bigfoot?
Yeah, the young stay with them. The juveniles stay with them for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I had a 7-foot juvenile here, so that one had been there a while with them.
Yeah, and the one that come into the camp the first year, I measured from the top of the Jeep I had, which is lower down than the one I got now. I have a Rubicon, so it's up higher. From the top of that roof to the ground was 6 foot. His head was that much over that. So that put a juvenile over 6 foot tall.
All right. Now, do you believe there's different types of these creatures?
It's possible they may, I'm going to use the word evolve in the areas they are, whether like the plains called grassmen. In the swamps, they're swamp apes. Different color, but similar to other Bigfoots. If you look at the Yowie,
Some have
in
canines.
Australia,
Yeah, some have canines, some don't.
Yeah.
You know.
the one I seen out of Crystal Lake, mouth was open. You could see both the upper and lower dog teeth. And they were pretty good size. But
Yeah.
even the Pendeka in Malaysia is similar to Bigfoot. And I think the environment will dictate how an animal adapts, how it grows. If it's harder for an animal to provide water, enough food, it's going to be a smaller animal. No different with Bigfoot. But if there's adequate food source, they get large. If you look at during the Cretaceous period of mammals, all the animals were big. The beaver, the oxen, the sloth. When the environment had changed, they downsized to fit the environment they're beginning to live in. All species will adapt to the environment, including humans.
Right.
This is only my view. I mean,
Do you think they physically evolve or just with their behaviors they evolve?
I think they physically evolve.
Yeah.
Plenty of food in the animals. If you look at the brown bear and the Kodiak, how big they are. What are they eating? Fish, deer, high food and protein. And I don't think Bigfoot's any different. The more protein and that they can eat, the larger they're going to get. The less they may be smaller. That's something you are going to make me look into, Don. I will be looking into that.
Right.
Randall said he had a stick come flying and hit the side of his deer blind 14 feet in the air. I jumped out of my chair and I was the only one hunting on the farm. I'd say you might have made one mad.
No, Bigfoot just letting him know he was around. We had that happen in St. Mary's. When I went over there on my boy's property, we had been out at night. We were standing there. My stepson was standing behind me. And a log about that big come flying by him between the two of us and hit the ground in front of us. We left. It was Bigfoot letting us know we weren't welcome.
Right.
That's the same place I got the photograph of the hand of Bigfoot. And they have conversations.
Well, when it comes to throwing objects, I've heard this twice. I've heard one account with the deer and one with the wild horse, that when they found the skeletal remains, that the ribs almost like had a hole in it, like it was either punched or a rock was thrown at it to kill it. So I would think if they're throwing rocks at a wild horse to take it down, or a deer to take it down, or punching it, getting close enough to punch it, I would think if a stick is coming through the air, I'm going home. I'm checking
Right.
out for the day.
I think anybody with common sense is going to go, hustle this to baby, I'll be back. But
the system
Right.
that
has
you have to look
nothing
at.
else
If they
to
throw a
say.
rock at you, maybe near you, or a log, they could hit you with that thing. They're not doing that. It's a warning. Leave the area. It's like when you see X's. Another one in that most aren't aware of. If you see a deer skull in a tree and there's X's, turn around, walk away. I'm serious. You walk away real fast, especially if that deer has a fresh deer head.
Hmm.
He's
I
letting
have
you know.
I have heard a deer being punched, and they reach in and grab the liver, and just pull it right out, and they leave a hole right in it.
Yeah.
So,
Liver is the number one source of food. If you
Mm.
watch mountain lions or anything, they eat the liver. If you watch crows on a carcass, what are they going after first? The liver. If you die in the woods and you get ripped open, they're going to eat your liver.
mhm.
That's a primary food source, high in protein, iron, potassium, and that. Bigfoot's
Right.
no different.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, that
And
deer. I found a couple deer skulls in the trees.
Those are a warning sign. That's
Yeah,
a good warning sign.
they left them for me too, right on rocks, looking right at me, at my house. Well, at my recorder, actually.
Yeah, they have a subtle way of letting you know you're not welcome, or you're
Yeah.
not welcome into their territory, and that.
They
You go away.
They surrounded my house in bones. Also,
That's an indication they may.
I just kept going into the woods. After my sighting, for about 3 weeks I carried a camera into the woods until the battery ran out. I put another battery in, had the camera running the whole time, and then after 3 weeks, I realized how foolish that was. So I wasn't going to see him.
I'm going to answer Jeff's question. Has Ken ever found carcass hanging in a tree stand? I've seen deer carcasses up in trees that have been drug up there. I can attribute that maybe to a mountain lion, because mountain lion are known to do it, but so is Bigfoot. Patty Canyon here, there's a professor trying to figure out what's killing the deer in Patty Canyon. They're finding their carcasses in trees.
wow.
Hmm.
I did not know that was going on.
Yep.
Now, you
Look
think
at
that's a
cheetahs.
warning?
It could be. Look at your cheetahs, your jaguars. They take the kill into the trees. If you can
Yeah.
associate one species of animals behavior, and you're seeing something similar in another species, are they learning from each other? And that's why research is so fascinating. It's the questions and the unanswers that you don't get.
Right.
Or you can go out for years and have no activities, and then all of a sudden it's just back to back. But it amazes me that throughout the country and actually the world, really, that people just come to, you have those people that come to the exact same conclusions that's never met people, and you have people that just have a totally different experience and conclusion from their researches. And I kind of feel like somewhere between here and there we forget to communicate and talk it out, and appreciate, like your flesh and blood, you believe they're a primate, but you've got someone else that's had, their experiences lead them a totally different direction, and they're a never primate kind of person.
Yeah. And
And
see, I respect their opinion too. I'm not going to discount it, but we all are entitled to our own views and opinions about it.
without apology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I knew a girl out in Arizona. She thought that Bigfoot was Cain until she found out there was more than one.
yeah. Well, you want to take a non-believer to become a believer, have them come face to face with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. In Maine, or one state back east, there was a woman advocate to stop all bear hunting. She got it. They couldn't bear hunt in that state. One day, her and her daughter were out. had a black bear charge him. Guess who was also an advocate for bear hunting?
Right.
Bigfoot is, when it is finally recognized as something, it's going to change, and I'm going to say it, the evolutionary path of species. We are always finding new species in the ocean, in the jungles, in South America, in Africa, in Malaysia, Borneo, in Thailand. We're finding new species all the time. Here's something so special to me, so elusive. It's a challenge in itself just to see one.
Yeah,
I'm
and you
very
really,
passionate about this.
right. You don't have to go far into the woods to see them either.
No. I used to, when I was young, I'd go sit on the mountainside and I'd observe the animals. Just watch them.
Misty has a question. She goes, okay, weird question. I'm going to give my 2 cents. So sorry in advance. Okay, weird question. If they do eat people, what do Yuns think? What do you think makes them pick that person? Hunger, smell, energy, easy
Hunger.
prey. And I do believe they eat people, Misty. That's just
It's hunger.
a difference of opinion. But go ahead.
Hunger. A black bear will eat a human if he's hungry.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Bigfoot's no different.
Yeah, I would say
Hunger
hunger also.
drives people,
And
even humans.
to Lavani's.
If you look,
Lavani says we taste like chicken, and this is excellent reply to that. Everything tastes like chicken, either white meat or dark meat. That's kind of funny.
if you even look at humans, we can turn cannibalistic. Look at the Donner Party. Look at the party in the Alps. We will eat another human.
Yeah, she says, Lavon, certain things, cows, pigs, whatever, taste different. That's why I asked. I don't know. Chunky people got more fat on them. I'd have more fat on me, so be it.
Desperation.
I just think we're easy prey. We're not as, I don't think we're as tactful as we think we are, especially when we're by ourselves.
Yeah.
When you're by yourself, you're in danger. You can be in danger. That's where you have to be aware at all times what's going on around you. Yes, I do pack a pistol. My hunting camp, our base camp, I've got the ultimate weapon, and it's made to kill a bear. It's a 430 grain gas check bear load in a 45-70. It will not and kill a bear. Will it kill Bigfoot? I hope not. I don't ever want to shoot at one.
Jeff said he would taste like cigars and bourbon.
He might be my Jägermeister and Fireball mix.
And Digger would be an edible.
But it is. We're at such a new beginning of learning about Bigfoot. And unfortunately, here in Montana, we can't be in the field year round. We are limited in a time frame because of the snow. If it decides to snow in August, you better get out of there because it can dump a lot of snow real quick. I've seen it snow in the high country in July in Montana. I know I've been caught in them when I've been in high alpine lakes. You get out of there. And that.
Do you think they stay in one area or they move around? Or
I believe personally Bigfoot has a territory. How big it is, I don't know. That may be why you might see one in one area and then not see him for a while and then see him again. Is like the Native Americans, the hunter-gatherers, they'd be in an area once the food supply got reached a certain point, they'd move to a new area. Would Bigfoot do the same thing? Yes, I believe he would. If the food supply dwindled, he'll go to another area. So if he has a large territory, he's going to be moving around that territory. And a lot of it will depend on like the fish spawning, when the birds nest, because he'll eat the eggs, And we all know you walk up by a nest, those little chicks in that nest will sound off. You don't think Bigfoot's not going to eat them if he hears them?
Misty says, in my opinion, they don't move any more than a bear does if they have anything they need in that area. No need to. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I agree with her. If they have plenty of food, they'll stay put. Why do we keep having experiences up where we go in the swamp every year?
Yeah, I do think they micromanage. You know, if their herd of deer that they're working on starts to get smaller, they'll move to a different herd of deer, but they don't leave the area.
Oh,
They might go a little bit further to get the deer.
I agree with you on that, Don. If you look at, let's say, a whitetail that's born, that whitetail will stay in a radius, circle of 2 miles from the point he was born, where he was born at. 2 miles in a circle is a big area, covers a lot of country. Does wolves have an impact? Maybe.
Wolves, they have a positive impact on the ecosystem, but is that what you're saying?
They do. Which is, thing about it, they put the wrong wolves back into the ecosystem. If they put the prairie gray, which is a scavenger, would have been okay. They put in the timber wolf.
And Canadian wolves.
Yep.
Mixed, yeah. I think it was like 14 they released.
Yep. That's why they do trap and hunt them in Montana now.
Mark says they stay on hunting lease year round, but I think they do have a range.
Yeah. And that's the general consensus of a lot of us researchers for Bigfoot. How big their range is unknown. I mentioned Bigfoot had a good idea. That thing that could be caught under their hair could give you an idea of the area they travel in.
It depends too.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying it would depend in the area too. Out there in Montana, it's so large. Their areas are probably much larger there than they are here where I am.
Yeah.
Because I hear the ones around here. I can hear them almost every night, year round.
I rarely have heard wolves when I've been in the mountains because they have a big territory. Say that again about the wolves.
I think that might be a reference to, I said they were good to the ecosystem. They actually are. When they were released in Yellowstone, they found that it was in favor, had a positive effect on the ecosystem there.
Yeah, they do.
When I think it was in the 1920s when the government actually paid people to have them all killed off.
Yep.
That they actually did the whole dynamics of, the wildlife changed. And when they brought back in the wolves, they seen things started to thrive because it kind of equaled everything out. The farmers weren't happy about it at the time, but then they realized that it was needed. It was a necessary. But I read a paper on that. So if you heard different, please say that and we'll put it out there.
No, the ranchers aren't happy about the wolves.
Right, and the grizzlies out there are not hibernating anymore because they have the wolf kills.
Yep.
So they can stay awake all winter.
Yeah. They first documented that in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
When the wolves were killing the elk and that, the grizzlies weren't hibernating. They just go from wolf kill to wolf kill.
Yeah, they just follow the wolves each day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you're hunting and you shoot, get that game out of there because deer, bear, and that have become so attuned to that rifle shot, they're going to come in. Would Bigfoot do the same? I believe so.
A dinner bell. It would be a rifle shot would be a dinner bell. Ding ding. Let's go get some.
I think they follow the hunters themselves. Just watch them and wait.
Well, how else would you explain your deer's gone and your blood trail's gone?
Right.
Yeah, or
there's Digger, what state are you in? I'm just curious. But yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
I know they're talking about releasing grizzlies in the Cascades Mountains in Washington. Grizzlies are not a friendly little teddy bear. We've had 3 killed around Missoula that attacked people.
Yeah, I think I heard about couple of those attacks.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that killed a grizzly with a 10 millimeter. I mean, it literally dropped on him, but he took it out. I don't think I want to deal with that.
Jeez, there was a guy bow hunting, and he hit a grizzly. The thing came right at him and grabbed him in a bear hug, and he unloaded his revolver, 357, right in its mouth, and the bear threw him down and took off.
Yeah. Well, there are reports of people actually shooting Bigfoot, and basically chugs the shots off. It doesn't kill them.
Wouldn't it be shot placement? Because I've heard that before.
But think about it this way, Victoria. You got a Bigfoot charging you like a grizzly. How scared and nervous you're going to be. I guarantee you're going to wet your pants.
Well, you may wet your pants, but if you're trained, you fall back on your training.
Yeah, you would eventually, yeah.
See, I've always said people have laughed is I always carried a 22 rifle because I could pepper his face a lot easier than a large caliber, because I could stay on target with a 22. And they need their eyes, their nose. So I always thought that they would turn and run, I hope.
I don't think I would rely strictly on bear spray. That's a big negative.
I know.
Call me a wuss. Call me a wuss, but I'm.
Like the one cartoon, he sprays the bear with pepper spray. The bear's bent over. Now he has pepper doo-doo on the ground with bones and stuff. It's serious. It's like, bring it on. But when you deal with an animal as big as a Bigfoot, a mature Bigfoot, I don't recommend shooting at it. There are people that have shot at it. The Branham experience that Teddy Roosevelt wrote about.
The Bowman
partner had shot at a Bigfoot.
Yeah, the Bowman story.
Yeah, Ape Canyon. If those miners hadn't killed that one and wounded one, they wouldn't have been attacked.
Well, he shot at one of them 4 times with a long rifle, and I pulled up the top of. Matter of fact, I had Fred on. Me and Fred was talking about that. I pulled up the type of rifles they had, but I mean, he shot at it 4 times and it retreated off the mountain. So what we have would probably be a lot more powerful now.
Yeah.
But okay. But anyway, let's just scratch that. Do you think that a lot of people confuse their fear with aggression from the Bigfoot? You think their actions are confused for aggression because of the fear that people are feeling when they encounter one?
It's possible, Victoria. It's very possible. Animals can sense things. Are a good example. If you panic in the ocean, what does that bring in?
Sharks.
Sharks.
Uh-huh.
Sure. You're ringing the dinner bell. Ding, ding.
It could be, that's something I'll remember and maybe do some research on that. Like I said, I'd love to do. I've got all the time in the world to sit at my computer doing research. But right now,
I often wonder is sometimes what's reported as aggression because you're not prepared for it.
No.
Is that confused with, or you get your fear confused with aggression? But at the same time, I do believe they kill people. I mean, kill people. I mean, dogs kill people.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Miss V. They because I always tell people they were aggressive when I first saw them, but it was really just them trying to keep me out of the woods. They weren't being aggressive towards me, literally.
No, I am a firm believer. If you show aggression towards Bigfoot, he's going to show aggression back.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, what happened up there with object being thrown was the first time I had aggressive response from Bigfoot. I attribute it to who was in the camp. the total disrespect for everything.
Right.
And Bigfoot is the protector of the lands. He speaks for those that can't speak. If you're disrespectful, you're aggressive, I firmly believe he will respond in kind if he's there. Just like humans. If somebody's disrespectful towards you and aggressive, what are you going to do? You either walk away as a defensive mechanism, you're going to become that way too.
Let's see. I believe they're more human than ape, but with a certain amount of woo. That's not what your DNA analysis said, but it's
No.
okay to agree.
Some DNA analysis people have had does show human DNA.
But
Now,
see, isn't that crazy that you're getting different?
Yeah, but if you look at the one large chimpanzee that we're supposed to be closely related to, it has human DNA. We have chimpanzee DNA in us if we go into the chromosomal DNA, the deeper part of the DNA. And the big chimp, it has human DNA. So maybe some samples, the way they're testing it, may register human DNA with the primate, which is understandable.
Yeah, well, so we have primate DNA.
Yeah.
You know.
But there was something I read about the mitochondria DNA, and I can't remember it, and it would make a lot of sense. I need to start taking notes if I'm going to bring stuff up. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I heard that too, that there was a female human or something in the strain, or
I heard it. I heard the mitochondria, and I hope I'm saying this right, really wasn't that relevant, that it would go beyond that if you wanted the true the true analysis. You would have to go beyond the mitochondria.
I don't think we today can properly fully test what DNA samples come out, because there's so many variables that are affecting the DNA. Look at that guy in northern Canada shot. He had a polar bear tag. He shot a polar bear. He come back as a grizzly, and the guide and him were in deep trouble. Well, this one biologist, something wasn't right about this, so she ran another test and found out it was a mix between a grizzly bear and a polar bear.
Wow, kind of like Coy Woods.
Yeah.
Coy dogs.
But it takes that one scientist who's willing to take the time to dig deep into the myocardial DNA or chromosomal DNA and that to look. Most of these guys are so damn busy anyway.
Yeah.
Rusty says the DNA from mitochondria is only inherited from the mother. DNA from the nucleus cell or from both mother and father. Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah, and William's right. That's how they've been able to track people that have been killed and no known relative is through the mother.
Wow. But there's also been people, when they were talking about Melba and their people that's had their careers ruined for getting involved in it. So did you submit your not? I know NC State are taking free samples, but I'm kind of skeptical of anyone that would take free samples. Like, where are they sending the information to? I don't trust the government.
I have 4 independent labs. I will not reveal their names because we're very strict about confidentiality. And the only way they would analyze the stool samples was through a confidentiality clause I had to sign. And these are 4 labs in different parts of the country.
What's the end game for you?
To prove to myself, to verify what I saw and what I've experienced, and to teach others. You know, whether they want to accept what I'm talking about, that's their individual choice. And like I tell the group, when I comment on something, I'm commenting on my personal experience, the field research, and the research I've done online.
You want to read that, Don? I need to respond.
Okay, I'm going to slip away for a second. I got to get some more coffee.
Go right ahead.
You want me to read that? Or do you want me to wait?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, Riley says there was a story of a woman getting kidnapped by a Sasquatch in 1871 and given birth to a Bigfoot baby. Same area as Albert Osterman sighting.
I've heard about that. That there. Now, you're aware that during World War II, Germany was trying to breed women with gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees to make a super soldier. From what I understand, there were infants that did survive. They didn't live long, but it did happen.
Yeah, I remember in the 80s, they, I think it was in England, they were looking for a woman to volunteer to get impregnated by a gorilla.
Yep.
Never heard anything else about it, but I do remember that. And they also wanted to blow the moon up back then, too. So
don't worry. Eventually, a couple thousand billion years, the moon's going to be so far out, it'll just be another planet. The moon is moving away from the Earth.
Right.
He said, yeah, the baby died shortly. But there was a case in Russia where they used to get drunk and do the dirty with a female Bigfoot or Yeti, or that was just terrible. I mean, it's I know knowledge. It was just terrible.
And the babies kept dying because she took them down to the cold water and kept trying to wash them. Yeah. We don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, because we can't cross species with a chimp, I don't think.
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
Well, that would go back to Plum Island. That falls under the Department of Agriculture, which is in the heart of the U.S. now. They did some pretty creepy stuff there when you talk about super soldiers. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the monkeys that just escaped from South Carolina. I mean, what? I just
right. Yeah, and they brought in some German scientists there too.
Rusty said that's the tall tale. Humans and apes cannot interbreed. The pregnancy would be rejected by the mother's immune system.
That'd be like.
So he's saying the Russia thing never happened. Is that what he's saying?
They do a heart transplant on you. They have to give you medication so your body doesn't reject that heart.
Right. And that's a human heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yes. And you are smarter than I am, William, so I will definitely take that.
You know, that's the whole thing about being out there. We don't know really what cryptids are out there. We're only getting a glimpse of it.
Yeah, it's going to take a body. Yeah, it's unless we have a body, I don't think it'll ever be proven.
I don't believe in killing something just to prove it.
I don't either. We're a firm believer. If you, in my group,
right,
if you mention about killing a Bigfoot, I guarantee you're no longer a member of that group.
Do not get me wrong. I do not. I'm all about if one's charging you and you're trying to save your life, drop it. If you can, drop it. I don't care who gets mad. If you fear for your life, drop it. But to do it just in the name of science or to prove something exists, I just no.
Well, I was taught you don't shoot anything unless you're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Which people can have.
But if an animal's attacking you as like a human and you're armed, you're going to protect yourself.
I don't care if it's Bigfoot, a mountain lion, the neighbor's pet bird. You know, I've got too many
Right.
scars, and I'm too damn old to be running. I'm just
Yeah,
sorry.
we're not young anymore, as they say. They can catch us a lot easier now than when we were young. We can't climb that tree as fast as we used to.
They gonna catch something, but anyway. So we've been going on for almost 2 hours.
That long?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, is there anything you wanted to cover, or any questions from the chat? Or Don, have I interrupted you so much tonight? And by the way, guys, in chat, Don showered and he's wearing a button-up shirt. Can you guys just please acknowledge that? I mean, that's awesome.
I always shower before the show.
Yeah. All I can say, those that are in the chat room or are watching this, please keep an open mind. We don't know everything that's out there. We're still learning about so much. And whether you accept it or not, or what people talk about, always keep an open mind. And that's the problem with humans. We close our minds to things. That you've got to have an open mind. I've had an open mind all my life, and I'm content. Yeah, I know eventually it's going to happen, but it's okay. It's okay. But doing the Bigfoot field research and that, I have an open mind. Even when it comes to the dogmen, I have an open mind to their existence.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's evidence of them going back 4,000 years. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the war between the dogmen and Bigfoot is
yeah,
really
or,
prevalent in the northwestern Native American lore and history.
or even over in Asia also.
Yeah.
They're written about. So,
Even up on the Blackfeet Reservation, they talk about the war between dogmen and Bigfoot. So there's a cultural history there.
yeah, and they live pretty close where I go.
Yeah.
You
I've never
don't-
seen one. Never seen
Yeah.
a dogman.
But you never hear anything go on out there. No fights or anything. The only problem was the helicopters coming in trying to get the dogmen.
Yeah. That's our government for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's our government for you.
So I've learned just to be quiet about all that.
Yeah. There's times to talk about it, and there's times to keep your mouth shut. And that.
Yeah. Right.
You know
You're
what?
right.
I'll bring up the Dogman thing. The thing about the community and Dogman is everybody expects them to look like what you see on the thumbnails. They don't always look like what you see on the thumbnails. There's some very toned down, and that's just my 2 cents. If we can't even agree on that, we got a long way to go with communication.
Well, they say north where we do our base camp in the Swan, they've seen dogmen.
Do you think they could get type of a Bigfoot, or do you think that they are just a separate? I call them canine cryptids because that's what they. To me, a Dogman.
If they do exist, they're a separate species, cryptid species.
Don, they said you cleaned up well. All right. Ken, is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on? Because we're kind of all over the place, but it was a very interesting conversation.
Well, I enjoyed it. Like I said, for me, is keeping an open mind. You never know what you're going to experience when you're out there. You may experience nothing. I've had field research trips, nothing happened. But all it takes is that one trip when things start happening. And we're all learning. We're not going to learn overnight about Bigfoot, dogmen, or any other cryptids or anything else out there. It's a learning process. And number one, you have to keep an open mind to what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Don't discount everything people are saying. There's some truth to it. There's truth to myth and legends. It's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. Accept it or reject it. That's your choice. You know, you can be told you're dying like I am. Now, I know I'm not going to die. Or you say, all right, you know, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? You make the most of it. And that's part of the reason why the book's coming about. Because it's my legacy to the group and to my daughters, my family. And that. And it was just, and all the hard aches I've had in my life, I've always put my boots back on and stood up and went, what did I learn from that? So I don't repeat it. And I feel that's why who I am today. I could be depressed, but I'm not. I'm positive. I've been given a challenge. I'm going to prove that doctor wrong. Besides, I tease Victoria. I should have a 24-year-old girlfriend. She'll keep me alive.
Oh,
She'll kill you.
he called me and I had him on Bluetooth and I was going down the back. He told me that. I said,
Hey, you'll go out with a smile. Of course, I get a lecture from all my daughters, 4 daughters, about that kind of stuff. Damn them. I tell them that's just downright un-American.
Riley said he weren't here when you answered this. He wants to know the most terrifying encounter you had, Ken. I don't think he wants you to go, buddy.
Or the mountain lion that jumped out of the tree and landed right behind me on the ground. That was probably one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced. Didn't know it was in the tree till I walked by it. Then I heard thunk, turned around, it was a big mountain lion.
Was he stalking you?
I don't know. His hide's kind of like on the wall at my brother's house.
Oh, okay.
Oh, kitty. That is probably the day I would have died because I would have done my darndest to get that last selfie in.
You got to understand, mountain lion meat's real good to eat.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to cover Swamp Kitty's ears.
Oh, I can't wait to get you here, Victoria. I'm going to make you an outdoor dinner.
Well, I've had gator and everything else. Gator, bear.
Gator's pretty good. So is monkey, so is dog, and so is cat.
Tastes like I think you said cat. Look, Tennessee ate a yellow jacket, and Misty said they were something else ate them. I think bears ate them. I'm just not trying to eat a yellow jacket or scat, sir. I just don't even know what
one daughter brought this moth in her hand. This isn't this pretty much. God, that damn thing tastes good. You go get me some more. Look on her face was priceless. I learned how to survive in the woods.
Jesus,
I'm staying home. Hell, I will survive.
No.
Yeah, I'm staying home. No Montana for me.
No, ants, grasshoppers, and grub. That's all I've had.
Yeah.
Now I used to eat bees and I throw them in my mouth, but not no yellow jacket.
It's no different being at a sorority party and swallowing live goldfish.
You just can't get away from them young women, can you? Sorority parties.
Oh, that must have been in the 60s.
Well, actually, I got lucky when I was working at the university. I was doing a dishwasher there at the Golden Oak and that. They had the girl political thing come. I was the only guy there. Oh, that was some good times.
This is why when he calls, I make sure my seatbelt's on when I put him on Bluetooth. Because there is no telling what comes out of that man's mouth.
That's what, if you talk to my daughters and they'll agree with you, even my brother, as they say, I don't know when to shut up. It's like I have no check between my brain and my mouth.
Listen to this, Riley. I thought it was all nice and everything, and there he goes.
If George Burns at 101 years old can have young women drink whiskey and smoke a cigar, why not us?
Right. You don't need a young one, you need a good one.
I had a good one. She passed away from cancer.
Oh.
Probably the only woman in my life who really understood me and didn't try to change me. She accepted me for who I was, accepted the heart condition, Matter of fact, when I'd go into the hospital, she stayed in that room with me.
Wow.
No good.
But
If
I have
you
two
ever get that,
beautiful daughters that were stepdaughters, and not stepdaughters. They're my daughters.
you find that even once in your life, you've done good.
Yep. That's why I told the girls that, yeah, it'd be nice to have somebody to go out to dinner with or a movie or like that. That's all I'm looking for.
Swamp Kitty loves me.
I had my soulmate. Elaine was my soulmate.
Right.
Considering I stood
Okay.
her up 4 times.
You did what to her for?
I stood her up 4 times, and she finally had enough of that. She come to the house, and then when I had to get discharged from the hospital in Superior, I had to have somebody with me. I had to give up hunting, so I called her, went and picked her up, and we were together ever since until she passed away.
So what you're really saying is you were playing hard to get.
I didn't know I had that big of a yellow streak.
Oh my God. Jesus.
I'd rather face a charging grizzly at that time than, because I just got out of I'd been married to a gold digger, a real nasty relationship.
A panner.
So I did have yell, but you know what? She was my soulmate. She really was. I was with her, and her 2 girls was with her when she passed away here at the house. Elaine will always be here. She was a good one. Even though hospice, the girls said they finally got to see what true love was all about. And we had true love. And I miss her.
Well, good. It's rare.
I really miss her at times.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you want to? Oh, where'd she go?
I
Well,
think she probably got some wet eyes.
it's rare. It's rare, Ken. So at least you experienced it.
Yeah. And I understand I can't judge all women by my wife, because all women are different. My 5th wife was the best. In that.
Right.
They always gave up on me.
Wait. Did you say you're 5th?
Yeah.
Oh.
Every time it seemed like heart, when I went through the PTSD, they couldn't wait to get rid of me. They weren't there to help.
Well, for the better, I guess, then.
I learned a lot. But
Right.
Elaine, it was different. Totally different.
Jeez. Well, they made you who you are today, I guess. So
she was my whole world. That's the reason we bought the motorhome, so we could travel. And we got to travel Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, all over Montana.
how long ago did she pass?
It's been 3 years.
Oh. Not that long ago. Oh.
No.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, but I had to be strong for my girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even when my dad passed away, I had to be strong. And when my brother was murdered, I had to be strong for my mom.
Aye. Jeez.
Yeah.
Someone's testing you.
I wish he'd quit testing me. Well, when I flatlined, the first question everybody asked, did you see the light? And I went, I didn't see no white light. I didn't see no red light. I'm a reject. Nobody wants me.
Yeah. It's somewhere in between, right? Purgatory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just after that, she filed for
They
divorce.
they weren't ready for you yet. All right, we all set?
You weren't crying, were you, dear?
No, I don't cry.
On camera.
When I had my near-death experience, I was going straight to hell, buddy. I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie. I was in a cold, damp basement, I had snakes falling on my shoulders. It was just, yeah.
Wow.
And God
Well, I
said,
can remember.
oh, no, I ain't finished with you yet, girl.
Yeah, that
So-
could have been just a wake-up call.
Yeah, like I said, from the moment it happened, the consciousness awareness of voices, nothing till I woke up in the hospital. They
Wow.
flew me off Kauai to Oahu. But I remember the nurse saying the F word, he just flatlined and stopped being thrown.
You heard everything going on?
Yep, to a certain point. From that point on, nothing.
Yeah.
I can confirm that because I looked down and I seen them working on me in the field. And then when I looked down, I was like, damn, that's got to hurt. And it's like it occurred. I'm like, that's me.
Yep.
But then I could start feeling everything. It was just that fast. It's
Well, I feel sorry for the nurse
Hmm.
because when I woke up, she was bent over doing something. And I sat up and went, where the hell am I?
you go.
She ran out there to get the doctor. Yeah. Total blackness. I sat and went, where the hell am I? I didn't know where I was at. Scared the hell out of the nurse.
But you had a head injury where you also had a near-death
I
experience.
had two.
Jesus.
This side, I worked security and I got involved with altercations with 4 individuals. I had 3 under control, one underneath me on my knee. I won't you tell where my knee was at, but he wasn't moving. The other 2, I had a hold of their throats, and the 4th guy hit me on this side with a tire iron. They didn't lay me out. They only knocked me to one knee. And I heard, let's get the F out of here before he stands up. And then later, after the heart attack, walking under a coconut tree and got taken out on this side by the coconut. And my Hawaiian friends, they see me and they start singing the
Coconuts and
song,
bobcats,
Warrior.
Bigfoot. Oh my!
My mom's right. I have a hard head.
I'm gonna tell you what, buddy. I love you to pieces. I do. I love you to pieces. But you be calling me and out of the blue talking about you got a beer and want to go find a 20-year-old, and I'd be like, oh my God.
Just
I'm like, dude, just stay.
Music. Why we have the University of Montana here. There's all these young women coming into the country western bar.
Jeez. Oh my God.
I bet she doesn't do that often, does she?
I'm just staying quiet.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
I love talking to both of you. Maybe we'll do this again.
I love you to pieces.
I love
buddy.
you too, sweetheart.
But you know, at the end of each show, we always give you a God, I'm so scared to do this. How do you- Oh my God. All right, let's try this again.
As they say, hello, Maynard. How you doing today?
At the end of each show, we always give our guests the opportunity to pay tribute to someone. Is there anyone you'd like to pay tribute to?
Are we done?
I said, I said at the end,
Spotlight's on you.
Don talked to this man.
She's frustrated. A woman being frustrated.
Oh my God, what do you have in that cup back there?
Fireball and coffee.
At the my God.
That's Montana
God.
moonshine there.
Yeah. I'm out of Jaeger.
All right.
I dump it in there too.
Yeah. Okay, we good?
At the end of each show, I try to give the guest a time to pay tribute to someone in their life. Is there anyone you would like to pay tribute to? No? Don, Don, go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go ahead and end the show. I love you, buddy. I love you.
We'll talk to you the next day or so when you get
Oh
over
my
the shock.
God.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ken.
Oh, thank you, Don.
Yeah,
Thank you, Victoria.
some really good stories there, and you've had a very interesting life. So it was, yeah, it was a good night. I enjoyed that, and thank everybody in the chat. Thanks for the questions and
Yes,
comments. And Miss V.
Oh, anybody that wants to join the group?
Oh, I got a booger up there.
No, it's a hand sign.
Yeah,
Oh.
everybody in the chat room that's looking to join the group, just answer the questions we have.
Yes,
We're really good at denying people. They don't.
Right. And we will be back next Saturday, or do we have another show in between?
We do have one next Saturday, and
Okay.
just so you guys know, I accidentally sent a email to someone. Unbeknownst to me, I thought I was reaching out to a YouTuber, and unbeknownst to me, I got a multi-million dollar CEO coming on to the show. So we're going to show him some love, and he's going to talk to us about survival, and it's going to be awesome. And that was the best thing I ever did in my life, and that's going to be an awesome show. So I told him, I even emailed him back. I says, you do know that I do Bigfoot shows, but we do go. But he's like, I'm there, Miss V. I'm like,
Right.
it's gonna be awesome. So,
Yeah,
what's your book? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a champ. He's a champ. He was like, yeah, I'm there. He didn't even care. He says, I'm there. We'll talk. So that'll be a good show. He's a CEO of a survival series. So and he's going to go over some survival stuff and tracking stuff. And he's been on the the global magazine for like 3 times and can bench press a house. So that's going to be interesting. But Ken, your book, what's the title? When's it coming out?
I'm kicking some ideas. I think the one I'm going to go is a personal quest for understanding of Bigfoot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The logo we have, my youngest daughter, Kim, drew that for the group. That's more a primitive but modern look. She went through graphic school in Bozeman, graphics arts. So she's really, both my daughters are real talented. Both of them are, but that's what it's probably going to. I know the head of our logo is going to be on the cover of the book. Just it with me down below.
Oh, it's going to be a physical book then.
Yeah, it's going to come out in both hardcover and softcover.
Oh, good.
And Kindle, and it sounds like audio also.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
And all the funds I get from it, part of that money goes back into the group to upgrade our equipment.
Aww.
Get all new T-shirts and everything for the group.
Oh, great.
Ken, I love you, buddy. So we're going to let Don close us. I laughed so hard, I almost peed on my pants. So I have to go tinkle. Please close the show.
No wonder she went off camera.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank everyone, and thank you, Ken. I'll be looking forward to that book. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and thank you guys for having me on. Sorry it took so long, Victoria.
I love you, buddy.
Chat room. Thank you for listening.
Yes,
You
No.
thank
always had
every.
a seat at, not to interrupt, but you always had a seat at the table. And you're right, it took a while, but you come first
I've got
over
a
a
bottle of
podcast.
homemade whiskey waiting for you guys to get here. It's really good in coffee.
Jeez, we couldn't tell.
All right, Don.
This
Don,
all those
just
drugs
All
they
right.
gave me in the service.
Thank,
kid.
yes, thank everyone, and we'll see you all next Saturday. And everyone have a great week.
Bye,
Goodbye.
kid.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ken.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone in chat. Thanks.
Ciao.